All right, guys, welcome to the new Equity Podcast. This is Ian Starkey, your host. Today I'm with one of my good friends, Jeff Guo. Jeff is a seasoned real estate investor. He's been investing in property since how long, Jeff?
So I invested myself since 2013, but I've been in the real estate industry since 2010, right after college.
Awesome, awesome. So I know we've been working together a little bit on a current project, but could you give them kind of a quick intro about yourself, kind of who you are, what you do? Yeah,
Sure. Absolutely. So my name is Jeff, and I met Ian, primarily through a mastermind, but I think we have some, prior encounter as well. I'm
sure.
born and raised in Shanghai, in China, and come across Rich Dad when I was in high school. In Shanghai, actually, came to this country to study when I was 18 years old, got my degree in finance and real estate. And since then, I worked on the equity side, working for a real estate investment trust on the asset management and acquisition for a few years, help oversee the performance of portfolio of roughly $350 million. And then went on to the debt side, worked for a CMBS special servicer, very distressed, 0% occupancy to 50% occupancy. Similar size portfolio, about 350 to $400 million. Worked on that for a few years, and decided to do things on my own a few years earlier, primarily in the affordable housing industry.
That's awesome. So basically worked for, and that was one firm where you went from the equity to the debt side, or
It's
two
two
firms?
different firms, Ian. So the equity firm is the first firm is a REIT based in Washington D.C. So I was there for 2 to 3 years. Loved it, learned a lot. But at the same time, our portfolio average, because it's Class A and B plus sort of portfolio. So the average occupancy is 94%, 95% occupied. I just feel like really there's only so much I can do in terms of value add.
Hmm.
That's why I made the switch from the REIT side, the equity side to the debt side, where because when a property is 0% occupancy, right? I mean, there's only one direction to go is to go up. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So yeah, you definitely, learn the business from the ground up, working for a huge firm. Could you share the name of the firm?
sure,
Or
absolutely. It's called WRIT, Washington Real Estate Investment Trust.
okay,
It's based in Washington D.C. It's a mid-sized REIT. I think they've got a market cap of roughly, I'll say 1.5 to $2 billion, but they're one of the oldest REIT, if not the oldest. Established, I believe, in 1960. So it's definitely one of the older ones out there. So.
mhm. And they still manage around, you said 350 to 400 million in assets.
So that's just the division I'm in. I was in the shopping center division, so the market value at that time is about 300. But also, when I first started there, they have five different divisions in. So office is the biggest one, multifamily, retail, industrial, and medical office. So the department I was part of is only one of the five divisions of the retail division. So I believe right now they have office, retail, and multifamily. They have since sold off medical office and industrial portfolio to other buyers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And do you, in your current investment business, do you only focus on multifamily, or do you also have an interest in the office spaces as well?
Sure. So my primary focus, Ian, is, let me take that back for a second, is, since I get different exposure from different, institutional level sort of grade, I invested passively in a few different asset class, such as apartments, shopping centers, because that's sort of my background, some
Mm.
self-storage stuff, and two hotels, Hilton branded hotels. But right now, my primary focus, if not my sole focus, is the affordable housing. So when people talk about affordable housing, right, apartments and the single family house kind of come in mind. So that's still my focus. But at the same time, as we are pretty aggressive buyer of mobile home parks
Mm.
and RV parks as well, because that's sort of like one notch even below the Class C, but provides people safe place to stay. And that's really our investment thesis is how can we provide an affordable but also safe place for people to stay who might not necessarily not able to afford a home to purchase. So that's our investment thesis. So mobile home parks, RV parks, and then apartments, Class B and C apartments.
Hmm. Yeah, no, and we're actually working on a mobile home park right now. For everyone who's watching this, or is going to watch this, we're working on a mobile home park right now, or RV park. But to me, it's like potato potato, but there actually is a big difference. I'm just kind of ignorant to the name, but no. So yeah. I think RV parks. I think they're a great asset class. I think you and Paul Larson definitely expanded my thought process on them. They're cash cows. I mean, it's like you build a good park, you lay some concrete, you lay some gravel, you put a good manager in place, and as long as people aren't burning it down, there's really not much maintenance, not much upkeep. Expenses are low, and yeah, it's. I mean, I'm very attracted to within the past probably month, I'd say, have become very attracted towards RV parks, mobile home parks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the myth that people think of RV parks is that, oh, there are wheels underneath, the car so that people can just start the engine and move away right away, which is partial is true, but at the same time, as we're closing on two parks right now with Paul, and one of them is RV park. I look at a rent roll, it's 25 unit RV park, and look at a rent roll. Some of the tenants has been there since 2003, 2004, 2005. So yes, they can turn on the engine and move away, but if we provide a very competitive pricing and almost become a home, it is a home, for a lot of those folks.
Mhm.
So it's actually a lot more stable than what the lenders, the bank, and many other investors thought it would be. Because when we're raising the money, one of the biggest questions I get from is, "Oh, Jeff, it's an RV park. People moving in and out." And I say, you know what? That is true partially, but at the same time, a lot of people has been there for 15, 20 years, and even in the apartment industry, right? I think that's still considered pretty long longevity
Mhm.
for people who's been through that long. So yeah, super excited to look at one deal with you, Ian. I think it's just a small world. I think you reach out,
Mhm.
to my business partner Paul, and then he looped me in, and that's just the power of network. Just that there's so many deals to be had, and there's no shortage of deals and money out there. So
Oh, exactly. And yeah, so for everyone watching, we haven't actually gone under contract yet, but the story of this deal is I live on Lake Conroe, just north of Houston, if you guys are familiar. There's actually an RV park right by my house. It's like something RV on the lake, and then there's like my subdivision next door. I drive by this park every day, and I actually had a really good call with Jeff's business partner Paul on an earlier episode, and it just like it. I mean, it was such a good call. It planted a seed. It put a fire in me to like go freaking try to find one of these. I was coming back from a meeting, and I was like, man, let me just stop in, say hi to these guys. So I stop in, I talk to who's the manager there, and I say, hey, who owns this place? He's like, huh? Like, who's this guy? He's like, well, I mean, I can't give you his name, but here's a card with a phone number on it that I believe is his. The guy was actually really cool. He actually gave me a lot of information about the owner. And yeah, as soon as I left there, I gave the owner a call. He picked up the phone. Surprisingly, the guy's a huge investor. We spoke. Jeff and I spoke to him yesterday, and I mean, he owns. I think he said what, over 1,000 units of RV.
2,000 units, I
Yeah,
think he
no,
said. All
crazy.
cash.
Yeah,
All
all
cash.
cash.
No debt on it. That's the crazy part, Ian. I mean, gosh, that's just insane.
Seriously, I mean, this guy, high roller. For anyone who don't know, I mean, this guy buys his properties cash. Like the property he bought next to my place was five. They bought it for 5 million, all cash. The property Jeff and I are looking at, bought it all cash. It's This guy just sits on cash. But
Amazing.
yeah, we just got him on the phone, and he's like, okay, yeah. I mean, here's my price. Here's my bottom line, and I heard the price. I was like, that doesn't sound too bad. I put it in my quick analysis, and I was like, holy crap, we need to take a look at this. So yeah, no, like Jeff says, it's the power of networking, the power of influence, of masterminds. And yeah, I forgot
One
where.
thing I want to point out, if you don't mind me, disrupt you, is that
Yeah.
you took a leap of faith,
Mhm.
right? By driving by the park. Not only that, you pick up the phone and call, knowing that you might get yelled at, you might get say no to, because 99 out of 100, because sometimes we do cold calls, it's not a pleasant experience. But you did that so that Paul and I, we got on the phone with the seller yesterday himself, who is a high roller, like you said, 2,000 units, all cash.
Yeah.
But had you not, take that leap of faith in the first place, none of this would have happened. And I think part of it is because you talked to Paul, a few days earlier about our business model. Maybe part of that got you thinking, maybe we can think about that. So I mean, that's almost like snowball. It just gets rolling bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think you and I would talk about it. My model is very based on JV joint venture structure where
Mhm.
I focus on a niche that I'm good at, and I work with other super like-minded people, pleasant people, Paul, and it's just it just snowball just gets so much bigger, and there can be more and more people getting involved, and everyone gets a piece of pie, and the pie gets bigger and bigger. It's just a win-win-win-win-win for everybody that's involved. It's a beautiful setup. So.
Mhm. No, it truly is, and yeah, the power of joint ventures in this commercial space, it's huge, man. It's like, you know, you and I could take down, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 apartment complexes together and still have our own companies, our own LLCs, and still do our own things, besides just that. I mean, the power of joint ventures, it's incredible. It's like, just to give people an example, joint ventures is where basically two different people, two different companies will come together to buy a business, buy a property, and typically the reason why they're done is someone else brings something to the table that the others doesn't. So, I like the table analogy because it's like, Jeff and I are having a dinner. We're bringing our friends, we're bringing our family. I call Jeff up. I'm like, hey, I'll bring the sides. He's like, all right, sweet. I got the steak. And it's very much like that when we take down these deals. It's like, okay, you know, I'll bring the investors, I'll bring the private money. Jeff will bring the debt. He can qualify for the debt, whereas I can't, or vice versa. Or say, I live outside the state where the property's at. Jeff is 10 minutes away from the property. It's like, hey, I'll be boots on the ground. I'll project manage it. I'll, make sure I'm keeping a presence, keeping a heartbeat on it. And, you focus on the asset management, the KPIs, the investor reports. So it's like, it's an awesome thing that, we're able to work together and take these things down seriously and make all of us a lot of money doing it.
Yeah,
So it's really cool, and it definitely it comes down to, like Jeff said, working with good people with good character, and pleasant people you want to be around.
yeah,
If we didn't like each other, we wouldn't even be talking to each other right now.
yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly. And another cool part you touched on that kind of the dinner, the table analogy is each deal is so different, right? I mean, this deal is in your backyard, and next deal might be in my backyard, and next deal might be in someone else's backyard. And each deal is so different. And the cool thing about JV, you can structure each deal differently to
Mhm.
cater towards what people want to do and is able to do so that everyone feel good about, on a deal specific basis. And next deal, if you find a deal where, I think it's too risky or vice versa, you know what, you take it down yourself, let's do the next deal together, for example, right? So it just brings so much flexibility. And I think, like you said, the key, I think, is really to stay in your lane, knowing what you are good at, stay in that, and let your other JV partner, whether it's one or two or three, to do their thing and have them stay in their lane. And together, 1 + 1 + 1 does not equal 3, equals 10, 30, 50, So, and as you say, Paul and I, we've been doing deal together since last year and went from 5 unit to 48 to 125 to 125. I do my thing, he does his thing, and I enjoy what I'm doing at 11:30 p.m. and that. Oh my gosh, so much fun. It
Mhm.
doesn't even feel work to me. And for someone else, it might be miserable, and vice versa. He might be doing stuff that he enjoys doing that I don't. And it's just a beautiful setup. So,
No, it really is. It really is, and yeah, no, I'm really excited. I'm excited to see where this one we're currently working on goes. And then yeah, obviously really excited for the future. I know we got a couple things in our pipeline. It's funny. I was working on one in Houston, and it was looking great. But we missed a piece of due diligence that our lender actually caught us on, and found out there were 3 shootings on the property last year. So that's one we're kind of retrading right now, but yeah, no, tons of stuff in the pipeline. Yeah, definitely looking forward to working with you guys a lot of
yeah,
things.
absolutely, and vice versa. And one of the things that we're actively trying to do is, hey, welcome to the party. What are you good at? This is what we can do. What can you do? And how can we do things together? Just to, increase that sort of snowball mentality for everyone, right? Like right now, we're having this conversation because you met us and you reached out to Paul, and before you know it, something pretty cool might happen. And we're like, I might know someone who can come in to this deal, next deal, to juice up the return for everybody. And it's kind of like a fun party as long as the people in there are super. You have to be kind of super selective, right, in terms of who we brought in,
Mhm.
personality fit and capability fit and all that, morally fit, integrity fit. But once you have the right people, it's really just a fun party. So.
Oh, it is. No, it really is, and that can definitely attest to the vibe of the mastermind we're in, Legacy Family.
Yeah,
For those of you who don't know, Jeff and I are both a part of a mastermind group put together by Tim Bratz. What a mastermind is basically it's a private group, a private community where there's usually a barrier to entry. Usually, you either have to meet a certain hurdle or qualification in your business, or pay a fee, or both. That's kind of the group we're in right now. Is you had to be at a certain level in your business, as well as pay, I believe it was $25,000 to enter the group. It's a $25,000 annual fee. And to some people, they may think that's dumb. Why would you do that? But it's like it's really it's the ROI you get when you really invest yourself into the group, and invest yourself into the group. And by doing that, I mean building relationships. It's like relationships are, people are your best asset. A lot of people talk about their wife is their best asset, their husband's their best asset, your friends, your wife, people, everyone you hang around are, they're your assets. They're either assets or liabilities. We all have those friends, more so my age than probably your age, Jeff, that aren't really doing too well or aren't really walking a straight line. Then you have those friends that are just crushing it. So it's friendships, relationships are huge, and that's the biggest thing about this mastermind group is that it's such a tight knit group, and it's just full of A players, like Jeff, that are looking to take down deals, buy real estate, and just continue to grow and build upon the wealth they're building for themselves, their families, and their future families and generations. So
absolutely. And talking about mastermind, and think and grow rich. That pretty popular book in the real estate industry. I think that's the first time I encountered this concept called mastermind, right? The Rockefellers of the group and all the titans back in the day, they get together and they call it mastermind, which is super advanced for that. Like, oh my goodness, if those people do that, and so shall we. And again, it's super counterintuitive for me at first, right? To pay that kind of money, 25 grand. I mean, you can use that to buy a lot of other stuff. Why would you even do that? But once I get over that mindset hurdle, someone told me once, for whatever mastermind that you join, if you don't get at least 10 times of that money worth within a year, don't even join it. And I can share with you, is that this is actually the second mastermind I joined since last year. I was part of another mastermind that's not really real estate focused per se. It's called Life and Year. It's more like a family slash life vision. They have a little bit of risk business component. I also pay a pretty high fee to enter that as well. I've been there with my wife for the last 8 months, and I can tell you, I mean, my friends asking, "Oh, Jeff, is it worth it?" And I said, "Tell you what, I'm very conservative. As we look at some deals, you'll see I'm very conservative. As you know what, the last 8 months, whatever money I pay for it, I'm getting at least 5 times. In reality, it's more like 10 to 12 times. But
mhm.
I'm going to say at least 5 times worth. They're like, how did you calculate that? I said, for one, I had some conversation with people from the mastermind. They taught me how to structure certain deals. It's so powerful that I never learned that from college. And remember, I got my degree in finance and real estate at a very good school. Never learned that before. Number two, one of the guys from our group, has a deal of a pre-IPO company, only sends a deal within the group. And right now we put some money into it. We're looking at 5x the money within 12 months. And right now we're looking at probably 8x the money. But the risk is there, right? There's a chance, 40% chance you're going to lose everything. I mean, that's the bottom line. I did my math. You know what? I think it's worth taking. So I don't know if it's going to be 8x or it's going to be go down to zero. But overall, it's a great if it does come back, 5 to 8x. That itself will pay for mastermind for the next decade, to come.
Mhm.
So it's just a network and who the deal flow. to just surround yourself with other A players, like yourself. And I think that's just so powerful. It took me a long time to get over that mindset of paying 25 grand, if not more, to join one. So
Yeah. No, and it's definitely it definitely is, it's a huge ROI. And if you're not getting an ROI from the groups you're joining, then either one, you're joining the wrong groups, or two, you might need to grow a little bit yourself.
right.
And that's kind of a reality, a harsh reality that sometimes it's tough to swallow. It's like, if you're surrounding yourself with these, really high level people, um, and you're just not really clicking, you're not really getting things done, nothing's really meshing, then, one, it's either you are the problem, or two, it's probably still you the problem. So yeah, no, I'm a huge advocate for masterminds. I'm going to continue to join them. I'm actually looking at trying to find another one to join.
Same here.
Huh?
Same here. I said same here. I was looking at Paul and I were talking about it. Let's join at some point another one. And I mean, it's an ROI just so huge that if someone tells you, hey, Jeff or Ian, give me $1, I'll guarantee you, right? 100%, you're gonna get $10 back, right? Would you give that person $1? Absolutely. So that's almost how I feel with those masterminds. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable, and in terms of ROI. So
Give them $100 for that.
right, exactly,
Dogecoin. Let's go. Go to the moon. Dude,
exactly.
I got an insider trade for you though. What's today? Today is Thursday.
All right.
Elon is going to be on Saturday Night Live, and I know he's going to say something. He's going to mention something about Doge, and that thing is going to shoot up. So
Really?
for all
Okay.
of you who are going to watch this, buy Dogecoin today. That's all I got.
Now today's what, 60 cents or something like that?
Dude, it surged last night. Like I have a little bit because I was like, this is just fun. I bought it like 30 cents. It's at 60.
Okay.
Like, all right.
It's crazy. I mean, the crypto, I mean, that's a totally different topic, but I'm also a space that I'm also paying quite a lot of attention to. A
Mhm.
little bit for speculation, but also more so is, what is there something that's fundamental sound behind things like Bitcoin, and joking, some of the properties we might start collecting Bitcoin as a rent payment, just because Tesla did it, and why can't we do that just as a future, kind of like futuristic, which sounds absolutely crazy right now as of May of 2021, but I almost feel like in 3 to 5 years it'll become almost crazy not to have some sort of crypto allocation, in our not only personal but also business slash institutional portfolio. Again, that's just my thought. So since it
Oh,
touched Dogecoin, so,
there's been a couple businesses allocating a lot of money towards it. What was I gonna say? I thought, but I lost it. But no, I mean crypto, it's huge, and yeah, it started as just speculation, but now there are a lot of companies buying Bitcoin, investing into Bitcoin. There's actually some guy I know, he was at the event in Austin. He bought a property in Ohio with all Bitcoin.
no kidding.
Yeah, he bought a property with Bitcoin, and I've been hearing that a couple other times. I've been hearing other people here, there, and wherever,
Wow.
selling their house for Bitcoin. It's like, and when you think about it, it sounds crazy, but it's actually not, because it's a currency. It's traded, and it's based on a value of an object. The dollar was once based on the value of how many chickens you could get for this.
Mhm.
It's like it's just trading. It's just trading something that holds value. So no,
Absolutely.
I definitely believe in the future of it, and yeah, it's kind of it's bounced around a little bit because there's a lot of other smaller projects and other altcoins that are coming up, and it's interesting. It's a very interesting time to be alive.
Absolutely. And the book, Bitcoin Standard, for your listener who has not read it, I highly recommend it. Bitcoin Standard. When I first picked up the book, I thought it was going to be about Bitcoin and how to make money, but it turns out it's really about a currency one-on-one, like you said, Ian. What is a currency? You need to store the value. You need to, limit its supply. There's so many characteristics and compare Bitcoin to gold. And after I read a book, I was like, holy moly! I mean, this thing is much more solid in terms of fundamental than when I thought at first. Yes, price is going to be volatile. I
Yeah.
think the price is going to go up later this year. It's going to crash another 70-80% at some point. It's going to go up again in the next 4 years. But there's definitely some very strong fundamental, you know, value behind it. That's just my opinion. So
And what was that book? You said the Bitcoin Standard?
The Bitcoin Standard, and it's a book that's really well written, not just about Bitcoin. The first 70% of the book doesn't even talk about Bitcoin. It talk about the human history about a currency, how in the past, right, people use things like what you call it. People use a seashell, people use stone, people use rock as the currency. The problem is you can find so many of them that devalue it. So it kind of reminds me of what happened last year with all the quantitative easing, the amount of currency that's being produced, and but Bitcoin is, right, it's 21 million, supplies, and that's it. So it's very hard currency. It's not a soft currency. And but that book is, I highly recommend that book for anyone who wants to read it about learn more about Bitcoin. So
Definitely. No, I'm gonna drop that book in the comments too. I just looked it up, so I'm gonna probably get on Audible.
Bitcoin Standard, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, no, and yeah, the thing with currency, I mean, I think that's a big reason why I myself am focusing my investments in real estate, because it's an asset class that historically has held its value the most. It's held its value, so obviously you're protecting your money putting it in your real estate, even though it's not liquid. But then it's the cash flow aspect. Yeah, I'm probably not going to buy a property for $100,000 and it's going to shoot up to $900,000 in the next 2 weeks. Shout out to Dogecoin. But it's like, it's protecting your dollar. It's protecting your dollar, securing your dollar. And if it's an investment property, if it's commercial property or residential property that's got a tenant, it's going to provide cash flow, and that's the big thing. That's what drew me to this side is creating wealth, preserving wealth, and then having a continuous drip of income.
Yep. The word preserving wealth, Ian, is so pronounced
Mhm.
because if we look at housing price right in the last 12 months, the price has gone up against US dollars. But another angle to look at it is maybe the dollar we have has been depreciated against other stuff such as commodity lumber, house, gas. So I think it's a great hedge against future inflation, which doesn't seem high when the government gives the CPI of 2%, 3%. But in my mind, it's much higher than that. And one example I want to share with you that might be listener might find it interesting is that, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm born and grow up in Shanghai, pretty big city, right?
Mhm.
I remember back in 2000, it cost roughly, gosh, somewhere between 100 to $200,000 to buy a two-bedroom condo, which for the developing country is, considered pretty pricey. So people are like, oh, it's in a bubble, it's in a bubble, don't buy it, the price is going to drop. Right now, guess what? The same two-bedroom condo in the same location in Shanghai, you cannot buy it for less than $2 million US dollars. And we're talking about a society where the the starting salary of a college graduate here in the U.S. I don't know. I'm just taking a guess. $40,000, $50,000, something like that. I'm just taking a guess.
Mhm.
Whereas in Shanghai, very wealthy city in China, the starting salary of a college graduate that's got to go to pretty good school. You're talking about, I don't know, $10 or $15,000. So how are those even feasible, right? So one way I looked at it is there's so much currency being produced and cannot be sent overseas because currency restriction. Guess where does the money go? Real estate and a stock market. So inflation comes, real estate becomes a great hedge of your currency. And same thing here in the US. Yes, I mean the price is not going to go crazy like that, but for those of you who have real estate or some other hard asset, guess what? It's a great hedge against future inflation, in my opinion. Real estate is a great one.
Mhm. No, definitely, and I couldn't agree more. That's interesting. Shanghai wise, I mean,
It's crazy.
I don't know much about the city. I want to learn more now.
Yeah, I mean, $2 million, and I'm not going to be surprised even if it goes to 2.2, 2.4, 2.5, 3 million. And gosh, I mean, it's just all the currency that's being produced, and
Yeah.
it's just a lot of it's due to inflation and all the currency being produced. So imagine for those who sat back in 2000, oh, it's too high, it's a bubble. I'm not going to buy this thing for $100,000. Let me just rent.
Mhm.
Guess what? It's not a good spot you want to be in, right? So
No, yeah, that's kind of the story of the housing market now is like, a lot of people are saying it's 2008 again, but it's not. It's tougher to get a mortgage in this day and age than it was back then. So, I don't, the talk about a bubble, just for example, my hometown of Austin, Texas. Austin is absolutely exploding right now. I mean, everyone out there I know that has a real estate license is making a crap ton of money because there's no there's not enough supply as far as demand. I mean, people are bidding 100, 200K above ask, depending on the price point of the house. And, the talk about a bubble, I'm curious to see because I myself am looking to buy a house in Austin this year. That's my goal. But it's like, I don't know. Is it a bubble? Are prices really rising that much? Or like you just said, is there, a deflation of the dollar? So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting time to be alive.
Absolutely. I mean, is Austin the Shanghai back in the year 2000,
Hmm.
where the price has gone up, but people are saying, don't buy it because it's going to drop? Or is Austin the market back in 2006 and 7, where things are going crazy right before the cliff comes? I wish I had a crystal ball, Ian, but
Hmm.
I just don't. It's a very interesting time to be alive for sure.
Yeah. We're just over here focused on buying some more and more multifamily. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, one cool thing about real estate is the ability to take advantage of the debt, right?
Mm.
Because a lot of that's what we're trying to secure is long-term fixed rate. I think Tim Brass talked about, he's a pretty big advocate, long-term fixed rate, low interest rate debt. So let's say if you can lock in a rate for 30 years, guess what? Your rent would have gone up by, I don't know, 150, 200%, but the debt payment is still the same. So you're basically using the future depreciated dollar, because the debt is going to be depreciated over the next 15 to 30 years, and can use more purchase power to pay down that debt, which is a pretty nice arbitrage in terms of real estate. And it's one of the only few industries that you can utilize that way. That's another reason why we love real estate, is because of the ability to take advantage of those low cost, fixed rate, long term debt.
Mhm. No, definitely, and debt is really cheap right now. I mean, we got a offer for a bridge product on a property for 70% of purchase, 100% of capex for 4% interest at one point. I mean, it's insane.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
That is a great product. How long's the term of that bridge? Ian?
that term was 36 months or 24 months with an option to extend to 36. And yeah, I mean, it blew my mind. That was actually on a property that we're retrading right now with the seller. But yeah, it's like, man, with that kind of loan, I really want to close because that's incredible.
Wow. 4% on that kind of leverage, that is really incredible. Really incredible. Absolutely.
It's crazy, but yeah, no. I guess some last minute thoughts. So, what would be the advice you would give someone who wanted to get into this industry as an operator or passive investor? Let's start with operator.
Sure. Well, I think what I'm going to share is probably nothing new, but who's that, a Jim Rohn or someone else? You become the average with the 5 people that you spend most time with, right? So,
Mhm.
also really, before you even do the first deal, look around. Who are those 5 people that are around you? And do you want to be like them in 5 years from now? And if the answer is yes, then great. And if the answer is no, then pick and choose who you want to associate yourself with. That goes for business, that goes for family, that goes for marriage, that goes for friendship, that goes for health, just all aspects, right? So also the first thing I was going to say is look around. Who are the 4 or 5 people you spend the most time with on a daily basis? And after that, if you have a very high level group of people, I'll say the second thing I'm going to say is see what your superpower is. And, you have more superpower than you think you'll be, whatever it is, given your unique background and skill set, and see how you can add value to those 5 people around you. And with no expectation, hey, this is what I'm good at. I'm the best project manager you've ever seen. I can roll my sleeves and get my hands dirty. I want to do it. You can give me something. You don't have to give me anything. I just want to prove myself. Just add as much value because it always comes, oh my gosh, 5, 10, 15 times back, right?
Mhm.
I would say the third thing, as we talked about earlier, the importance of having a mastermind, the importance of having a coach. Right now, I have two coaches, and I'm part of two mastermind. I'm thinking about adding a third one because I just see so much value from the coach. One of them is, helping me with my triathlon. The other one is helping me with my mindset. Um, spend some money, whether it's one coach or one mastermind, and try it out for 12 months, because the worst that you're going to experience is you're just going to lose the money. But the upside is just so huge. When I hired my first coach at the beginning of last year, I was like, oh, darn, I'm going to pay this money each month. But man, I mean, what a great return I'm getting. And it benefits him, the coach as well. We have a really good working relationship. So try it out. Spend some money on a coach, spend some money on mastermind, and see the return in 12 months. If you don't get at least 10 times the return you put it in, go somewhere else. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So I think as the operator, those are the three things that I have in mind.
Mhm. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. Seriously,
Yeah,
that goes. I mean, that kind of goes back to our mastermind talk earlier. It's yeah, I couldn't agree more. And yeah, everyone, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch us, to hang out with us. Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me.
yeah.
I know we're going to talk some more today about this deal we're working on, but yeah, no, thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having me on there, Ian. It's been pleasant talking to you as always on a podcast, in person, on a phone, and hopefully, can do some deals together and bring more people, to the game and make everyone, better off as a result. So.
Absolutely.